I've been sober now for just over 6 months, and I just want to share with you how it's impacted my life and changed it for the better. See, when you first want to give up drinking, you really don't know what is waiting for you on the other side of it. And when I first started, I was worried that I was going to miss out on all sorts of things. Beers with my mates, drinks after work, or just having a glass of wine or cider whilst I'm out for a meal. And focusing on them things was the wrong approach. And you can't understand until you are there. And I myself have been extremely surprised at the benefits of doing this. My clarity of thought has improved. I trust myself more. I'm responsive, not reactive. And of course, we all have our bad days, right? And my body feels strong and healthy, and I feel capable and able to just go out and penetrate the world. And I don't mean that in a sexual way. I just mean that in a masculine way. Go out and do. Now that I've passed that 6-month mark, I look back and I'm miles away from the man I was 6 months ago. So that is why I've said it is like having a superpower. And I genuinely feel so charged when I wake every morning. It's just incredible. Now, one of the first things I started to notice was my clarity of thought. And not just that I was clear-headed and having clearer thoughts, but because now my thoughts come from a better place. And what I mean by that is I started to trust myself more. Because I acted on what I said. I didn't lie to myself. I didn't let myself down. And I started to respect the person in the mirror. Because when I was drinking, everything just felt so out of reach to me. And that's because it was. Having thoughts like business ideas and starting things, the thoughts you're having are coming from a place of strength, a place of sobriety. And your thoughts really start to take shape because you go out there in the world and you act on them. And you may start, noticing things about other people too that you didn't before. I found that when it comes to discernment and being able to judge a situation, I can do that a lot better now. And I'm a lot more careful with my words. Before I was really loose with my words. And sometimes I would offend people and make people sad, not necessarily on purpose, but just because I lacked a lot of awareness. And I feel that removing alcohol has really improved that. Now, another thing that has changed drastically is how just strong I feel. I feel super healthy and charged up. Majority of mornings, we always have them days, right, still. But generally, your sleep is going to be so much better. And if you're doing something like training and you want to do strength training or whatever it is, you want to become more athletic, getting alcohol out the way just compounds your results. It makes everything just feel so much easier. And my experience of alcohol, that it just makes everything harder. When you drink, it just dulls your senses. And it does have its advantages, certainly socially. I do agree with, going out, having a few beers at the pub and stuff. That is a good social environment. I've had some great times doing it. I just had no follow through when I did it, and I didn't respect myself. Maybe it's because there is a history of alcoholism in my family and I was always a bit wary about it. Maybe me drinking, I felt a bit ashamed. And I didn't want to turn out like, unfortunately, my uncle, who was an alcoholic. Even though he was a lovely man, he had a lot of big dreams and aspirations and he didn't reach them. And I'm not saying I'm definitely going to reach my dreams and my aspirations by quitting alcohol. You're certainly more likely to get there with a clear, sober mind. Since quitting, I've lost just over 14 kilo. I've been doing a weigh-in every month, and yeah, sure, I've been super consistent with my training. I've dialed in my nutrition over the last 3 months, started weighing everything and stuff like that. But when you show up to the gym, you show up to train or whatever it is you do, you will feel strong and invigorated and determined to beat what you did last time. You really feel like that. I feel almost, sometimes on rest days, I feel a little bit almost like itching to go, raring to go, because right, I feel really strong right now. Now's the time to work out. I also found that when it comes to exercise and stuff like that, you don't have alcohol interfering in your decisions. You didn't have a night out and then you got a kebab and you've consumed like 5,000 calories, and that will really put you behind. When you decide to do something in life and you follow through with it, it's so important to do that. It's so important to follow through with what you say you're going to do, especially to yourself. I wouldn't worry so much about what you say to other people, but when you say something to yourself, if you don't show up and you don't follow through, you're basically teaching yourself that you're not trustworthy. And I found that through drinking, the amount of promises I made to myself that I didn't follow through on. I've gone through stages of light drinking and extremely heavy drinking before I gave up for 6 months recently. But by the way, I haven't done anything like that. I've been drinking consistently since I was about 16 to 18 years old. Before giving up, I was basically an alcoholic for 18 months. And I was a light drinker before that. But I met someone who brought out my more chaotic and sort of fun-loving side, right? And it's not that I don't have fun now. I mean, fun is a broad term. You don't need alcohol to have fun, right? That was part of my problem, though. Alcohol made everything better, or so it seemed. It didn't actually do that, but it felt like that in the moment. And so weekends or days off were on the lash, holidays, heavy drinking, and normal days were just 2 to 3 drinks for sure. And I used to look forward to it. I remember at Christmas time, if we'd go out on walks in the morning, not on a work day, we'd have like a Bailey's coffee, and it was delicious, and we did have a great time. But slowly but surely that wore away at me in every single way. And then you look in the mirror and you go, whoa, you look rough. Like, you don't look well, you look ill, and you look like you haven't been looking after yourself. And a lot of things started to slip. Something I do for work started to slip. And I had a big mistake when it came to some finances. I remember I had this 1 month, renovated a house, moved, worked full-time and a side hustle, and let a few things slip, took my, finger off the pulse, and I lost half of my funding for trading the financial markets, thousands upon thousands, which is terrible. And so alcohol can cost you a lot if you're not switched on and engaged. And some people are. Some people can do it, but I am not one of them people. And I sort of think, sure, great if you can do that. Great if you can drink and be high functioning. But just because you're high functioning, you're successful, you have a good career, family and friends and all that shit, right? That doesn't mean you don't have a problem. I found that whilst I was drinking, things just never seemed to be enough. I was never really happy. I could have fun in the moment, but there was just always this niggle, always this feeling at like the back of my mind saying, you'd be better off if you stopped. And I thought about doing it 1,000 times, I swear. I at least attempted to give up 100 times. And when you wake up in the morning and you say to yourself you're going to do something and you don't do it, that wears away at you. It chips away at your self-belief. But since I stopped, I've regained that. And I'm not like an egotistical person, but my self-esteem is back. I have my self-worth. And all these things are waiting for you on the other side of stopping drinking. Also, I found my relationships improved greatly. There were a few friends that I lost that were more drinking buddies, but still friends nonetheless. But I found it far easier to just not be around it and associate with the same sorts of people, certainly at the beginning. Because when you stop drinking, the worst thing to assume is that it's a game of willpower. It's actually not. It's a game of changing your habits. And I'm not just talking about stopping drinking. I'm talking about rebuilding your routine, rebuilding your life. That is how you beat it. That is how you beat any habit, really, is by changing your routine, changing who you associate with. And I found that it really encouraged me to look back at my childhood and what I enjoyed then, what I did for fun. And I've started to become more creative again. That's why I'm making these videos, because it gives me something creative to do. And I want to share my experience with you because I believe it's just one of the best things you can do for your life. And I found that the new relationships I've built have come from a better place. But one thing it did is really show me who my true friends are. And now I value them even more than I did before. And I'm very lucky. I've had some friends who've been really close friends for over 20 years. And I know that's quite a rare thing, but removing alcohol has let me see things for what they truly are. I don't have the blinkers on. I'm not blinded by the booze anymore. And it actually just helps you get a little bit more serious, I guess, about your life. Doing the things that are required. I generally try and do the harder stuff at the beginning of a day now, and then I don't dread it all day. And whereas before I'd wake up hungover, looking at this like mountain of a day that I'd created in my own mind, all because I had too many drinks the night before. So I will be starting up a free 7-day WhatsApp group that will help you remove alcohol from your life for 7 days, just a small step in the right direction to begin with. If you are looking to give up alcohol, you're making the right choice. Just stay consistent, keep the future you in mind, because I gave up 6 months ago, and nowadays I do feel like a superhero compared to what I was like before. I'll see you in the next video.